So I just got back from Aquaman, and the only showtimes that they had that I could see were IMAX, which I never do IMAX, but man, it must have been destined to be, because this movie was stunning. A visual spectacle worth the price of admission alone, just to witness the splendor that is on the screen. It is remarkable how beautiful and gorgeous this film is to look at in every scene. It is just stunning. And right there alone, as I said. In addition to that, and my hopes for this movie were just tepid. They weren't really all that high. James Wan was my biggest excitement for it. And oh man, I love this movie. This might be my favorite DC movie. I couldn't believe it when I was sitting there watching. I was like, wow, I'm really loving this. And it just kind of kept plodding along. And I was like, is this, because I went in like 2.5 hour runtime. I'm thinking, is this going to drag? I hope not. I hope they don't try to get too serious, whatever. None. No problems. I just sat back and had a blast. You don't go to these kinds of movies to get lost in deep thought and rethink your life. It's not that kind of movie at all. And if that's the kind of movie you're looking for, this ain't the kind of movie to go to. This is just pure fun, visual treat. Sit back and just marvel at what's on the screen. The IMAX was actually, as I said, I'm glad that happened, because wow, what a beautiful movie. Now, as far as like the total tonal shift, because they're getting away from the Snyderverse, the dark and brooding tones, and they went much lighter, more playful. They're going more for the Marvel model. I was a huge fan of Man of Steel. And Batman v Superman, I was very not, it was when I went to the theater and saw it. And then someone was like, gotta watch the Ultimate Edition, it's better. And I was like, how much can they possibly fix? I didn't think it was gonna be able to be. I watched the Ultimate Edition, the director's cut, whatever you want to call it, and it fixed almost every problem I had with the movie, and I ended up really enjoying it, and I was surprised. Justice League, I didn't care for that movie. Wonder Woman, I really enjoyed. Suicide Squad, I liked the first half, didn't like the second half at all. The Joker should have been the villain in that movie. They made a huge mistake there, my opinion. I saw the Shazam trailer before this, and it looks more in line with this. They're going for a much more humorous thing. I look forward to Wonder Woman 84, 1984, whatever you want to call it. And the future of DC after this movie, to me, is bright. I feel like they've completely righted the train. You know, it feels like we're back on track. After Justice League's failure, after Suicide Squad's failure, I feel like Wonder Woman and this and the Shazam trailer, which is really fun and exciting, I feel like, bam, they're back in the game. They need to go back down this path. Now, Jason Momoa took a character that essentially has been a joke for years and years and made him so badass. I mean, every dude wants to be this guy right now. He is so charismatic. He embodies the role so well. He has such a fun time with it. And here's something about his portrayal in this and the way that James Wan directs this. There's such power behind every blow that he throws. There is this just crippling, weight when he hits somebody. This opening fight scene on this submarine, the guys he fought are just human beings. There's no way that any of them survive that. They'd all be dying from internal bleeding. The way he hits them, the things he hits them with, there's just such a force of impact. And I loved that, because he's this Atlantean god and he's fighting mortals. And it's just, and because Jason Momoa himself is such a, hulking presence, that just added to the film so much for me. It was like, yes, he's kicking the shit out of these guys. What I want to see. Everyone else, Patrick Wilson, I thought was great. as Orm in this. I thought he was a great villain. I really enjoyed him. Does he get the full amount of time that like a Thanos gets to be explored? Absolutely not. No. But for a throwaway villain, as you know, we kind of usually refer to them as, I thought he brought a great presence to him. I thought he was very intimidating. I thought he was it was a very good performance from him. I like him in general. I can't think of anything I didn't like him in. And this ain't his first venture in the DC world. You know, he was in Watchmen, and I thought he was great in that. I thought he was great in this. I like him in the Insidious franchise. I like him in the Conjuring franchise, all the way back to the freaking Hard Candy days. Been a Patrick Wilson fan for a long time, and I thought he was killer in this. Another character in this, the guy who plays Jason Momoa's or Aquaman's dad, is the guy who plays Jango Fett in the prequels. And just seeing him here on screen, I was like, oh my god, I hope they do a Boba Fett something in the future with this guy coming back. Because he's still awesome. He does a good job in this movie. I look forward to, if they ever bring that character back, I hope that this guy gets the role. I mean, complaints, I don't really have many. The only stuff, there's some musical stuff when they're doing lighter moments that I thought was a little too playful and silly, and I was like, you could have toned that back a little. That's minor nitpicks. Very cool to see Dolph Lundgren getting like a major role in this movie. When I saw him in the trailer, I was like, he'll be in it for like 2 seconds and gone. No, he's actually a pretty major secondary character. I was like, oh, cool, man. I'm loving to see Dolph Lundgren get some good screen time in a big film like this now. We also have Willem Dafoe in here, who gets about as much screen time as well, and he's very good. There's a lot of de-aging in this movie, and some of the stuff in the early isn't great. It's a little rough. So of the visual effects, I would say the one on Momoa's dad is probably the worst of the entire film, but it's nothing to ruin the film. Nicole Kidman is very good in this. There's a lot of emotional beats that I actually thought worked very well. I know that a lot of people will think this film is uber silly, and it is, but the character is. The whole idea, the whole story, everything around it is ridiculous. But I'll tell you this, I am biased, and here's why I'm biased. For years and years and years, I've always wanted to write a script, a movie, because I've wanted to write many, but one in particular that I've always wanted to do is a film on Atlantis. I've always had, ever since I played a game back in the day called Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis on PC. Big fan of that LucasArts game back in the day. Point and click adventure. They don't make those anymore. They make some, but very random, very seldomly. I miss those. But ever since then, I've always been obsessed with Atlantis. And I've always wanted to see it on the big screen. I've never understood why there hasn't been a movie about Atlantis. Here we go. We got an Atlantis movie. They explored the early days of it in some flashbacks, which was awesome. We get to see it fall into the ocean. We get to see it underwater. We get to see the Atlanteans. Here's my Atlantis movie, and it's badass. I mean, I would still like to see a completely different Atlantis movie. I'd be fine with that. But for now, I'm so glad I finally got to see Atlantis on the big screen and in possibly the most visually stunning film I've ever seen in my life. It is so beautiful to look at. The amount of effects work in this is mind-boggling. I can't even imagine how many hours went into the visual effects on this film. It's every freaking scene. Another character that I feel like no one's talking about here is Black Manta. Is that how you say it? I think that's it. Black Mantra, whatever. I thought that character was really cool. His character isn't in it too much, but I thought the big fight between him and Aquaman in the city was awesome. There's these other goons that are chasing, and then they're fighting, and the way that that's all done, James Wan really nailed this film. The action sequences are on point. The camera work, the way they're flying in through things, the way it moves around, the action is always in frame. It's always moving around. It's not shaky cam. It's just fluid. And it's awesome. And when the hits come, they have power, they have weight, they get thrown around. Good stuff all around. This is one of my favorite blockbusters of the year. I obviously recommend the hell out of it. I'm trying to think of anything else I want to cover on this film. Because I hate when I get done with these and then I'm like, damn it, I forgot this and that and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Who has seen it? What'd you guys think? I know that there's some people that think this movie is absolutely stupid and ridiculous and whatnot. What did you think you were getting? It's about a fucking Aquaman. It's ridiculous. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Let me know if you go and see it. It's worth seeing on the big screen. This is a big screen movie. I'm not a huge theater guy. I like watching stuff at home. But something like this is worth seeing larger than life, because this movie is larger than life. So, all right, guys.